the best program for you is the loan that you're approved for
Yeah.
at the end of the day. Because if there's a loan program like Mass Housing, but you're not approved for it, it's just not the best one for you.
Yep.
If there's a loan program like the 5% down on a multifamily, but you're not approved for it, it's not the best one for you.
Welcome to the Creating Wealth Podcast, where Kyle Curtin takes you on an extraordinary journey alongside renowned multifamily real estate experts from every corner of the United States. We teach you how to harness the power of real estate investing and witness the transformation of your wealth building strategy. Let's create wealth together.
What's up, guys? Welcome to episode 145 of the Creating Wealth Podcast. Today, we get the great pleasure of chatting with Joe Galvin. Joe is a phenomenal Massachusetts-based lender with guaranteed rate. He does a ton with multifamily, rental properties, house hackers, pretty much everything under the sun. Super excited to have you on here, man. What's going on, Joe? How the hell are you?
I'm doing great, Kyle. How are you?
I am doing great, man. I'm very excited that we get to do this, man.
I'm excited too.
To have you on.
It's my first time. I'm very excited.
I appreciate it, man. So to kind of jump in, man, I usually, we'll have people like just jump into like their story, whether it's how they got into the real estate industry, like where they grew up, like how they did on their fucking third grade little league team. Wherever you want to jump in, it's cool, man. I don't care. Like,
my story. I'll tell you my mortgage story. How's that?
Sure.
So, I, for the longest time, wanted to get into real estate. Even, right after high school, 18, 19, 20, it was always just, and at the time, 1993, 4 and 5, we had the internet. It just wasn't huge like it is today, obviously. So you would pick up the paper, the Sunday paper, and you'd go to the classified section and you pick it up and you see all the properties for sale, all these advertisements, all this stuff happening, and you're like, oh my God, that's so, 80,000, 100,000, 120,000, and it just didn't seem so far out of reach, So a little bit lost after high school. Ended up just painting houses, became a house painter as I was trying to find my way, if you will, and took a real estate class to become a realtor. Took my Series 6, actually, to become a financial consultant. That's actually more of a customer service role for the Series 6. And then at the time, I had my painting business was doing really well in North Reading because at the time North Reading was going through a bit of a renaissance in building. I had 2 trucks. I had 15 guys. I had about 40 ladders. God, like 15,000 square feet of drop cloth. I mean, I could literally go in and bang out a house in a day from top to bottom.
Damn, man.
I'd just have 4 guys on each side, 4 guys, 4 guys, 4 guys, 4 guys. Everybody's going to do one side.
Rip it up.
Yeah. So we had it down pat. We were banging them out and everything was going really well. And you're young, you're strong, you're young and dumb, and I was extremely, really, really strong, when I was younger, and was kind of cocky about it. And I went to move a 40-foot ladder fully extended, and I'd done it 100 times in the past. Why am I going to have problems this time, right? So I'll never forget. The 40-foot ladder is fully extended. Now, mind you, this is about a 250-pound ladder.
Yeah.
And the leverage at 20 feet when it's not extended is considerable. At 40 feet, it's daunting. So, and I'm not super tall either. I'm just more stumpy and short to the ground. So I'm moving the ladder. It wasn't even a big move. It was maybe like a 5-foot move from here to there. And I stepped in a rabbit hole, or God only knows, it's a snake hole, squirrel. So I stepped in a hole.
Yeah.
And I was going to lose the ladder to power lines that were behind me. I was falling back, and I was going to lose. I was going to get electrocuted. So in fear, I just muscled it up, and when I muscled it up, my back went, right up my back.
Yikes.
Yeah, so I popped my vertebrae in between my shoulder blades, and 3 of them actually rotated. I was in a lot of pain. Went to the doctor. I was like, he's like, I got good news, I got bad news. I was like, what's the good news? He's like, good news is you're not painting anymore.
Fair
I
enough.
was like, what's the bad? I was like, what's the bad news? He's like, you're not painting anymore. 'Cause that's how I made my living. I was painting houses, house painter. And this was probably July of '98, and didn't know what to do. I was talking to a buddy of mine, and a good childhood friend of mine, Jeremy Carr. He said, "You never got to go to college. You never got to have that experience." He's like, "It's July. Maybe go to school in a couple months, next month, whatever." I was like, "You think so?" He's like, "Yeah." He's like, "What do you like to do?" I was like, "I don't know." He's like, "You're a really good cook." I was like, "Culinary? All right, we'll give it a whirl." So I went to Johnson& Wales, and I was 20, 98, just 23. So the 23-year-old freshman in the co-ed dorm down in Providence, Rhode Island, Johnson& Wales. And that's what I ended up doing. I ended up folding up Jeremy was actually my partner that last summer. Folded up the painting business, put everything in storage, didn't sell anything off just in case. And ended up going to Johnson& Wales. And by Thanksgiving, I was out of money. And I kind of saw the writing on the wall. 23, you don't call home you figure it out.
Yeah.
I come from a modest background. My father's a truck driver. My mother's a waitress. Call home for money, they'll start laughing at you. Like, what are you talking? Like, really? So I knew enough, around Halloween to start looking for work. And I ended up at a temp agency, which is something I had never done before. And I had taken all the right classes in high school, the typing and all that stuff. And I was pretty proficient with that stuff. And paperwork's, not the most difficult thing in the world. So I went through this like 2 or 3 day, maybe it was a 2-day evaluation, like 4 hours one day, 4 days the next. They literally go through this evaluation of like, and at the time it was like, a 45-minute, can you use Excel? Can you use PowerPoint? Can you use Outlook? Can you use this, that, the next? Because all these things were newer at the time. And long story short, she goes, "You scored horrible on everything."
Nailed it.
Nailed it. And she's like, "What do you know about mortgages?" I said, "What's a mortgage?" She goes, "Oh God." She goes, "At least you can type. We're going to have you do data entry over at Fleet and Seekonk, because Providence and Seekonk are like a 10 or 15-minute drive apart." So I had my chef classes in the morning from like 7 to 3, because it's one straight lab. You go in the morning, you're in the kitchen all day.
Damn.
And then you cook, and then you clean the dishes and clean the kitchen, and then you're out for the next class. And the next class is from like 2 to 8. So I was out at like 2 or 1:30 every day, and then I had the rest of the day to myself. So I was going over to Fleet probably 4, at least I was trying to get there as much as possible because I needed money.
Yeah.
I had my car insurance, I had expenses, I had the meal plan, I had the housing, I had all that stuff, but I still needed money. So I got there and I started, that was my introduction to the mortgage business. Apparently in the fall of '98, actually, I started on Black Friday, if you can believe that. I started on Black Friday at Fleet Mortgage in Seekonk, Massachusetts, and I didn't know what the hell I was doing. It was crazy. But then, I spent some time there, and you get to see the loan officers, you get to see the processors, you get to see the underwriters, and the loan officers dressed really nice. They drove nice cars. And I was like, I want to do that.
Fair enough, man.
So I started off doing data entry, which was fine, and then they made me a copy clerk, because at the time, it was a full doc world, 1998, everything's full doc world. But what Fleet would do is they would either, fax or email you a FedEx label with a list of documents that you needed to get to them, and you'd have to send it in, right? And then you'd send it back, and then they'd copy everything and send it back to you. So it was my job to copy all those. Like I'd walk in, there'd be like 60 packages for me to copy. It's like, what the hell is going on? So I was doing that for a while, and then Jesus, I was in charge of money wires funding. So I think that was only for a couple days, and then probably sent the wrong money to somewhere in the Cayman Islands.
A couple numbers here or there.
You're right. Might have been off by one number going to my account. No, I'm just kidding. I wish I would never be good enough to get away with that, but
me neither, buddy.
yeah. No, but then I got into the sales side of things in telemarketing, actually, for this company called Dreamhouse Mortgage. It was over by Brown University, and the owner was an absolute psychopath. Like if things didn't close, the TV was going out the window. You know, like because his office was on the 3rd floor, and it was on like a main street in Providence. The guy was just oh my lord. But yeah, so I got but I still wasn't a loan officer, so I still was like, am I going to be a realtor? Am I going to be a loan officer? What am I going to do? So, and then you got life happening at the same time, right? So I'm with this girlfriend, and then that's not working out. I'm with this girlfriend, and that's kind of working out. And then I'm just like, well, am I going to go home back to Boston, North Reading? I'm going to stay in Providence. Like, just lots of ebbs and flows, and life happening because you're young. You know, you're in your early 20s, and just shit's coming at you, and you've never done it before, so you figure it out as you go.
Yep.
You're adulting for the first time, and it's weird.
It is weird.
You know? So long story short, I go back home for a little while. I stop painting again. I'm not happy doing that at all. I did finally pass the real estate exam, and I was going to hang my license in Century 21, but that didn't work out. So I ended up painting for a winter with this guy, Bernie, and I was not happy doing that. And then I kept looking for a job as a loan officer. Nobody would give me a shot. I couldn't even get an at-bat. They're like, well, you don't have any experience. And I ran into that 30, 40 times. Well, you don't have any experience. You don't have any experience. It's like, let me get an at-bat. I'll get some experience and you'll be fine. Okay? Yeah. And it's all commissioned anyway. So it's like, you eat what you kill. Like, if you don't sink or swim.
Yeah.
You know, so finally, I get this guy. So I get 2 guys in Cranston, Rhode Island, to give me an interview. I think one guy's name was Bill something, and the other guy's name I'll never forget was John Costa. And John looked like a Portuguese Sammy Davis Jr. he knew it too. He'd play up to it.
Yeah.
He was a great guy. But I set up the interviews. I took the day off of work that day, and I told my boss what I was doing. I set up the day to go down from North Reading to Cranston to go interview for. I think I set the first one up at 10. This next one up at like 11:30 or whatever. And I'm on my way down there, and John calls to confirm the appointment, and he goes, "You still coming down for our appointment?" I said, "Yeah." He's like, all right, can you get here early? My day is kind of moving around on me. Can you get here a little bit? I was like, nah, John, I got this appointment with this guy, Bill, right before you. He's like, that motherfucker down the street, blah, blah, blah. And I didn't know they knew each other, but I'm just trying to be open and honest. I don't want to get caught in a lie or anything.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to be as honest as I can. And he's like, fuck him. He's like, you're coming to work for me. Sight unseen, I want you now. He's
damn.
Like, $2,000 signing bonus. I was like, okay, you got me. Sure. $2,000. Sounds good. I called up a girl I knew that was still living down there on Ring Street. I was like, you got a couch for me to surf on for a couple months while I figure this out? And she's like, yeah. And that's how it all started. I went down. He gave me my first shot. It was $500 a week for 4 weeks. That was my $2,000. And by the end of 4 weeks, I didn't have anything going on. The deal was if it funded by Monday, I would get paid that Friday. So if if I had a closing that funded on Monday of any given week, I would get paid that Friday because it would have enough time to get the check from the attorney into the account. So that was in May, and I survived enough to make it to 9/11, and it was 2001 at this point. And 9/11 happened and the market. It was just a really odd time. I'll never forget. I was in that. He asked me to come in. We were going to go over the LeBlanc file that morning. And I'm in there. I'm up, and John had this office. It was a house. It was a house that was converted into an office. So John, the executive, was on the second floor, and then the main floor was like almost like you'd see a house dentist office kind of thing. It was like a reception area, billing area, and a couple offices.
Yep.
And then the basement was where I was. I was a cellar dweller. In my first month, he must have put me down. He put me down there with like probably a stack of like 60 credit reports. He's like, Joe, figure out what a cash out refi consolidation, how much money they'd save, and call every single one of them. You could come show me what it is, and then we'll call every single one of them. So I took their income, their debts, and said cash out refi. You get, you're paying off this, so save $700 a month. Da, 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 da. And so we went through all those all summer long, and then 9/11 hit, and then the Fed came out and cut rates at full point that Monday. And then a week later, they came out and cut the Fed funds rate again, another full point the second week. And during this time, if you had your credit pulled, I was working for primary lending at the time. If you had your credit pulled by primary lending on Monday, and then by, say, Fleet Bank on Tuesday, and then XYZ Mortgage Company on Thursday, by Thursday, your credit score dropped 90 points.
Yikes.
So people started complaining about that. They changed that. So that's when that law changed. They made it live on January 1st of 2002.
Wow.
22 years ago, Kyle. And it's still an old wives' tale. If I have my credit pulled, is my credit going to go down? No, damn it. They changed that 22 years ago. Jesus Christ. Get with the times. And then that's it. I worked for them for a while until that company became dysfunctional. They put the funk in dysfunction. There was just some inner power struggles. People wanted to kind of take over or be the boss, and the boss didn't want to step down. And, so that got a little funky. So I ended up moving home. I got another job for a mortgage company up in Beverly. And oh my God, and this is before licensing. So you didn't even need a license. Like you and I could go open a mortgage company tomorrow, right? And just file some paperwork with Division of Banks. And that was it. There was no test. There was there was a bond requirement, but I mean, you fill out the paperwork, you send it in. As long as somebody's got 3 years experience, something, you're good.
Great.
But it was a wild, wild west.
Yeah.
So and I go in, and these people so the guy John Costa that hired Sammy Davis Jr. He actually worked at a bank. He worked at Domestic Bank. His email was like FHAman@AOL.com or some shit.
Nice.
Because he was famous for doing those Title I loans, a home improvement loan. So basically, you'd walk in the bank with a pay stub, and they give you $25,000 to fix your house. I'm sure a lot of people need to use $25 for fixing the house, but either way, you got $25,000 in your pocket that day.
Yeah.
Right. And Domestic Bank was like doing them hand over fist. Figures Providence was famous for doing the $25,000 Title I loan back in the day.
There's a lot.
But right. But anyways, John's the one that hired me. So where was I going? Oh, so he was actually at a bank, had experience, and there was a workflow that I learned when I was in primary. Like it goes from here's you start a file, here's how it goes to processing, then underwriting, and so on and so forth, all the way to closing. And this place in Beverly was like fucking, oh my God. They had no idea. They had some, what would be today an Instagram model?
Yeah.
Like a girl that just wanted to make money off of sexy pictures.
Yep.
That was the processor.
Damn.
Yeah. And it was just a hot mess. And the guys in there were dying on the vine. And I came in there and I was just like, guys, there's leads we can buy, there's shit we can do, like, and I ended up getting this like Glengarry, Glen Ross, like leads, like and everybody started killing it. But then on the back end, we didn't have the support because we had an Instagram model girl, like that didn't know how to do the paperwork. So I tried to put something together, and then there's just power struggles and just lots of egos, and that didn't end up working out. And then I ended up having a couple other stints here and there. But then I went off on my own for like 3 years. I met a girl. She submitted the paperwork to have a mortgage company. She got approved, and we had a good time. Those, right up until the crash of '08, it was great.
Yeah.
And then, kind of self-explanatory, speaks for itself. '08 happened, and I was actually out of work. We closed the mortgage company down probably in January, February of that year, and I didn't start at Wells Fargo until August. And money was going quick, times was tough. And it was so funny because I was given an opportunity to go to Chase Manhattan, JP Morgan Chase, or I was going to go to Wells. And I am a huge fan of Jamie Dimon. As far as CEOs go, guy's kind of a rock star. He doesn't let people bother him. He doesn't give a shit about. He's kind of like the Dana White of banking. If if this kind of, you know what I'm saying? Just like, fuck you, this is who I am. Okay,
Yeah.
take it or leave it. So, and I was like, oh, I got to go there. And then I found out that at the time, Warren Buffett owned like 25% of Wells Fargo. And with what I had just gone through in the mortgage business, and the tightening of credit that I experienced, I was like, they're going to be lending money. If Buffett owns them, they're going to be lending money. I got to go.
Yeah.
I got to go there. So I went there, and it was good. We got out of the financial crisis. Now we're up to '08, so that's about a 10-year. How long did that take? 10 years? Like 15 minutes so far. And so did that, and then I was at Wells for 5.5 years, and that's actually when I got into renovation lending. I met this great guy, Dave Christian, who is just a phenomenal mentor. He did everything the right way, as far as like learning how to get the business, learning how to treat people, learning how to, just stay busy all the time, and how to not, as a loan officer, one of the things you don't want to do is you don't want to submit a shitty file to underwriting. And loan officers are notorious for submitting shitty files to underwriting. So because you got to do a lot of paperwork up front, and a lot of times they're just so excited they get a deal that they're just happy that they have a deal. Like you have to review the paperwork. You have to be critical. You have to, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
you have to make sure that that this person's gonna qualify. They're asking you for hundreds of, if not millions of dollars. You're gonna be a yes man now?
Yes.
No. You have to. Certainly, I guess it's a fine line to walk, right?
Yeah.
You want to be the yes man. You don't want to be the pain in the ass, but you also want to, if something comes up, you want to say, hey, what's this? Right? So all too often, loan officers are turning in shitty files, and Dave kind of, I did have my spell with that when I first went to Wells because I was going from broker to lender. So there was like a QC thing that a lifestyle adjustment. I guess I went through there, and yeah. So then I left there and I went to Prospect, and then Prospect got bought by Homebridge, and then there was the signing bonus period. So I was offered some money to go to this place called Supreme Land. Listen to this shit. I was at Prospect Mortgage, and I was there, and I was doing all types of loans, but I was really still to this day, people mostly know me for renovation loans. So because Prospect was bought by Homebridge, and a lot of the Prospect legacy people didn't like the Homebridge people, there was going to be a separation. And it was in New Jersey. This guy, John P., is what I'll say, just to keep it ambiguous. And he had a $1 billion region. That means every single year his team was funding $1 billion.
Damn.
And he was getting a cut of it. And that's with just average rates, like not rates high, not rates low, just whatever they were, market rates for 10 years. John was doing $1 billion a year. So this guy locally approached me. He goes, hey, Joe, he goes, I want you to come on board here. We'll give you, X amount of dollars sign-in bonus. You're going to get licensed from Canada to Florida, and you're going to be the renovation specialist for John P.'s group. So any renovation loan they do, because your average loan officer isn't allowed to do a renovation loan because they're going to screw it up.
Yeah.
So they hand it off to a specialist like myself, the guy that does them all the time. So this is a shame on me. I quit my job. I go to work for the guy. And I said, when's John P's group coming over? He's like, well, there's been a snag with that. I said, excuse me? He's like, that's not going to be happening. I'm like, when did you plan on telling me? Like, I literally, like it's day one or first week. It was definitely the first. I forget. I was so mad. I never would have left.
Yeah.
Never would have left. I never would have left. So I ended up leaving Prospect / Homebridge. I went to this place called Supreme Lending. And the guy, not that he lied to me. I should have waited. In hindsight, being 2020, I should have waited till that John Peace group was there. Then once they were there, then I make the move, not ahead of time, right?
Yep.
So it created a little bit of a rift, like a little bit of just trust between myself and this guy and whatever. So I was at Supreme, and that just was not working out. Pricing was off. Their rates were off. The processing was beyond subpar. Like, just the support was just horrible. And you work by referral in this business, right? So let's say, for example, I'm bringing your office cookies every week. Hey, Kyle the realtor, give me a loan. Like, kind of like when I wanted the job, right?
Yeah.
Nobody would give me a chance because I didn't have any experience, right?
Yep.
And then finally somebody gives you a chance and you get it. You do a good job up front. You've done everything. You hand the paperwork off. And now they fuck it up for you.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's like I could kill you right now.
Yeah.
I just worked on that relationship for 2 fucking years. Now you're going to ruin it for me by being a donkey of a processor? Oh, my God. So I left there quicker than you can say lickety split.
Yep.
I met with this guy, Jeff, in New Hampshire, who we're still really good friends to this day. And I went to Movement. And that's actually where I met John Babachi.
Oh, shit.
And And Movement was great at first because it was still all the original people. And then there was you probably don't know this, there was a little bit of a financial crisis in 2018 and 19 where people weren't sure about what was happening in the business. So I started there in August for July 30th of 2018. And I had just gotten back from Italy. Me and my son went on a trip he was playing hockey in Italy. And I started there, and what a culture shock. I mean, talk about handing it off and have them screw up your relationship to handing it off and having people give you more business because they're supporting you so good, right? So that was awesome. And I had Jamie, and Jamie since passed away, and John actually knew Jamie. And but yeah, then and that was just a totally different culture. And then things started to change. Nothing stays good forever, right? It's like you have all these ebbs and flows, and you have things going. And if I wish it had stayed like that. If I could create a culture and a community like that full time, I would. Because nobody would ever leave. But for whatever reason, it changed, and they got away from what got them to where they were, and I ended up leaving, and I went to Loan Depot. What a mistake! Oh my God! And it was the same thing. It was all, it's kind of like you go on a job interview and you meet like the best representative of that person, and then you meet them on like Friday night at 10 o'clock. And it's like, how fucked up are they?
Story.
Right? Yeah. It's like, how many have they had?
Yeah.
And so I went to Loan Depot, and that was just a god awful experience. I was told one thing, they did another. They were like, "Oh, we'll support you. You can bring your assistant, this and that. Throw this money at me, dude." When I tell you, I went in there, and I think this is before rates had gone up, like a year before rates had gone up. I was at like 8.25.
Yeah.
I was like, the signing bonus you just gave me is completely negated if these are your rates.
Yeah.
Because I'm not closing anything for like forever. Like the entire time I'm here, if your rates are this high, I'm never closing a loan. Because I know where my competitors are. I still have username and passwords to some wholesale websites. I can go check and see where my competition is. I know what's going on.
Yeah.
We're not even close. That did not last long. I'm still dealing with the situation, but there was a recapture of the money that they gave me, and I'm still working through that. It's just, and now I'm at GRA, and all things are good. Things are good until they're not, right? Something will come up. They'll change something. They won't support me. And I'll be on to the next. And that's really what it boils down to. As a loan officer, you just want to have the right support. You don't want to be the loan officer that does, goes out and shakes the hands and kisses the babies and does all the networking to get the loans to get them submitted to processing. And now you're the processor too.
Yeah.
No, you can't be. I have to have confidence in the people that I've done my job. The customer's done their job because of me. Here's a very good, complete package for you to work with. Get her done.
Yep.
Get her done. Sure, something might come up with a third-party thing, the appraisal, the title, the insurance. We have no control over that.
Yeah.
It's somebody else. Let's control what we can control and create a world-class experience for the people that we work with. That's my give. That's my give.
Yep.
Right? So, and that's what we've been able to do. I think with Brady, I've been very, very fortunate to have Brady. She's an excellent human being, on top of a good worker. Probably one of the most favorite people I've met probably in the past 10 years. Aside from that guy I told you about, my mentor, that Dave Christian. But yeah, Brady's on my team. She's on maternity leave right now.
Is she? I know you mentioned that to me a little bit ago, but
yeah. She had a third child, and she bought a house earlier this year, so she has a lot going on. But yeah, she's I can't thank her enough, and I've really been missing her while she's been gone. But she'll come back and she'll get me dialed in. She's just awesome. She helps me look good,
hell
which
yeah.
is huge. Yeah. So that's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
Absolutely, man. No, I think it's really interesting too, man. I mean, because most people don't know what it looks like behind the scenes, whether they're buyers, many agents too, like, yeah, like you might understand, all right, like here's, my lender, there's an underwriter, something happens in the background, and hopefully I get money at the end of it. You know what I mean?
Right.
And I'm really glad you brought up the point of like, there's multiple different roles that need to work incredibly well together to get things over the finish line, and having that synergy with the people that you work with is a make or a break for everybody at the end of the day, and yeah, man.
Well, I think what's different with real estate, and whereas, so you guys might have a transaction coordinator, right? So, from that perspective, they'll handle most of it. But I mean, pretty much you're on your own. You might have to go to your broker for something. And all too often, I think realtors think like it's very similar to the loan officer. It's not.
Yeah.
Not a good one anyway. I mean, one that's going to close 1 or 2 a month, sure. But one that's going to close, 6, 8, 10, 12 loans a month, you can't. I can't be part of everything to every deal to everybody.
Yeah.
There's a lot of me to go around, but there's not that much of me to go around. I'll tell you something. So it says right here, I was reading this earlier today. It says the average agent will close 1 loan per loan officer every 12 months. So I would need to market to 75 agents to get to the closings that I would need to be. So now around 20% of pre-approvals that I have each month will close. If I want 6 closings, I need 30 TBDs a month.
Gotcha.
That means I need 30 pre-approvals a month to get to 6 closings.
Yeah.
If only 20% are going to close. Now take that and put that into a hyper-condensed market with low inventory that's hyper-competitive. It's probably not 20%. It's probably more like 10%.
Yeah.
So if you want 6 closings a month, you have to take 60 applications. Right?
Yep.
So it's crazy. I mean, so it's a different animal. It's like, I think that real estate, I think the conversion rate's probably a little bit better for you guys because it really is more that FaceTime. And it's not so much like the above the neck kind of stuff that's just very technical and you get to be a little bit more touchy-feely, I guess.
Yeah.
Right? And we're just very X's and O's, schematics. Yeah.
I
So
love it, man. Yeah,
cool.
absolutely. So I did I wanted to ask you about a couple things because like I mentioned earlier, um I know you do a ton for like people house hacking, for people, buying 3 to 4 units and or 2 to 4 units, first properties, that type of shit.
Yeah.
All kinds of stuff anyway, but um so I wanted to kind of get your thoughts on like, some of the low down payment programs, for people like looking to get into the industry. I have a lot of people very recently that have started to kind of come out of the woodwork and ask these questions.
Yeah.
And being able to mention to them like, yeah, there's FHA, there's the 5% mass housing, there's 5%, of another program, and there's a lot of things out there. So I'm kind of curious, what your thoughts are on that kind of thing to get into the multi space for the first time.
So a couple things. So number one, the mass housing loan is great. It's a great opportunity for everybody to get in. It's not a loan that everybody's going to qualify for,
Yeah.
because a lot of the low down payment stuff you have to understand is affordable housing. So it's excuse me, it's limited in the kind of income qualifications, right? So it's considered low to moderate income. Well, what's low to mod? I mean, it can literally be up to $190,000 a year in some of the programs,
Yeah.
right? So and it takes every income into consideration too. So it takes your annual salary, your rental income, everything's added up together, and it can't exceed the threshold. But if you're under the threshold, it's a wonderful program. And they just actually revamped it. They're going to be relaunching it. I'll get that information over to you. Whereas I think it's every community in the state. Hold on, I don't want to misspeak while I'm on the podcast. I want to get it right. But I believe it's every community in Massachusetts now is eligible for $30,000 down payment assistance.
Hey.
Whereas before it was only gateway cities.
Yeah, I know it. We were talking about that a few weeks ago, like that it was changing, like shortly, like in March or something. I don't know
Right.
if it happened
I think
already.
I sent it to you at that time.
Yeah.
And hold on, here it is. Here it is. My boss just sent this out yesterday. He had this made custom. But yeah, the mass housing is definitely, and it's funny that and you talk. I don't know how much football you watch, but Brady used to go through his progressions, right? So he'd find if receiver A is his first receiver, like that's your outlet, and
Yeah.
then receiver B, receiver C, receiver D, and then check down and run, right.
Yeah.
So believe it or not, the mortgage business is very, very similar. You always have receiver A. So I'm starting with every single customer for the best program I have available, which is going to be mass housing down payment assistance. And then
Yeah.
we kind of back it in from there as far as what's going on with them and their unique fingerprint or snowflake or however you want to, like their unique situation. And I
Yeah.
back into whatever ends up ultimately being best for them. So yeah, so now it's instead of a 2%, it's deferred. So the 30,000 now is deferred.
Is it first time home buyer for everybody, or does it
First
depend?
time home buyer only.
Okay.
Must meet household income and acquisition cost limit eligible for first mortgage product. Available in all cities and towns.
Hey.
Properties include 1 unit eligible single family condo or PUD and 2 to 4 unit properties in Massachusetts. Now the next program from Mass Housing is down payment assistance at 2% for 15 years. Okay, up to $25,000. This one again is all the same criteria. First time home buyer only, must meet household income and acquisition cost limit, because mass housing has that two-prong qualification.
Yep.
And available in all cities and towns. Program includes eligible 1 unit single family condo or PUD, as well as 2 to 4 units in Massachusetts. So that's it. So it looks like they're getting away with it, and I'll double check, but they might be getting rid of the $50,000 DAP in gateway communities, but I'll double check on that. But yeah, this is where I start. So I'll start at mass housing, and then, I'll go to next up for me is usually going to be FHA, just because it's 3.5% instead of 5%. And it's less restrictive, actually. It's easier to get an FHA loan than it is to get a conventional loan. it's easy to get an FHA loan than it is to get a conventional loan. A lot of people aren't aware of that.
Yeah.
And, a lot of people also don't consider mortgage insurance and what mortgage insurance rates are. So there's actually somebody could qualify for a conventional loan. Like I had this happen like 2 months ago. It was a very unique situation in that they had, I want to say it was a big loan and they had like a 685 FICO or something to that effect.
Yep.
And the mortgage insurance is going to be like $800 a month conventionally.
Ouch.
Yeah, because of the FICO score. And the agent kept it, no, we got to go conventional. We got to go conventional. I'm like, I don't make up the mortgage insurance rates. I was like, maybe we can do a combo. We'll do a first and a second. We'll see, what we can do. And just it tried every different way to, get it done, but ended up not coming together anyway because I think the seller backed out. But yeah, so I'll start with mass housing and then I'll go to typically FHA unless I get pushed back there and they want conventional. I mean, look, I consider myself more of an order taker than like a forced place insurance. I mean, if you want a pepperoni pizza, I'll give you a pepperoni pizza. If you want a conventional loan, I'll give you a conventional loan.
Yeah.
You
Do you do
qualify
both?
for a conventional loan, right?
I'll
give
take
you
a pizza on a loan, man. Hell
right?
yeah.
That's going to be my next promo, pizza and a loan.
Uptown.
Ice cream sandwiches and a loan.
Oh, the best.
No, but really, that's what it is. Whatever somebody wants is what I'll give them. I can try to give my advice, and they'll, it's the same with real estate. It's like as soon as they get in, their uncle, brother, cousin, mother's nephews, everybody, has a bug in their ear about how to do it and what they got. Well, my cousin got this and blah blah blah. It's like, well, they also had 30% down.
And it was 10 years ago.
and an 800 FICO score. You get a 620 with 2%. What are we even talking about? So it's just, but I mean, everybody's different. But you deal with that, but you try to give them what they want and to the best of your ability and to the best of what they qualify for. But ultimately, some people end up in the best loan program for them, and that's the one that they're approved for.
Yeah.
The best program for you is the loan that you're approved for at the end of the day. Because if there's a loan program like mass housing, but you're not approved for it, it's just not the best one for you.
Yep.
If there's a loan program like the 5% down on a multifamily, but you're not approved for it, it's not the best one for you.
Yeah.
I just did one. Actually, I did this with a friend of ours. You know him very well, I'm sure.
Yep.
But he had this loan, this property under agreement. It was a 3-family up in Haverhill. And the guy was approved for the 5% down program. That's a pre-approval letter he got it under agreement with. Was a conventional 5% down. And I got the call and, hey, Joe, what can you do for me? Blah, blah, blah. I did the whole pre-screening thing, vet him out. I'm like, this does not sound like it's going to work. I'll try.
Yeah.
And so I did. I got him to apply online. He submitted all his docs, went through the whole thing. And the computer, approves and denies the loans, but it's going to be good information. You get good information in, you get a good answer. Garbage information, you get a garbage answer. So you want to make sure all your data points are right. Blah, blah, blah. Long story short, I made sure it was all right. I'm like, maybe I started to get fool's optimism. Maybe this is going to go. We're going to be able to do it. Right? Wrong. Couldn't do it. Yeah. So I'm like, the best I can do for this guy, I'm looking at the property. And I swear, people were just living in this property, by the way. Dude, they were using the stoves for heaters. The wallpaper was from 1964, not 74. The floors were sanded, never. They were hardwood floors. The floors were put down in 1920. They were never sanded in 100 years.
I've seen some shit. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there were holes in the ceilings. I mean, the place was just, it needed some TLC. It needed some love. It was right up my alley. I love these houses. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
He ended up getting it for a song. He got it for a little over $5. But so long story short is we ended up getting getting a bid together, getting the appraisal done, and got the appraisal done conventionally because no, I got it done as an FHA appraisal, and had an issue with self sufficiency. We made it muscle through that, and then we were able to get some do a renovation loan. And by doing the renovation loan is how we actually ended up meeting self sufficiency, because by making improvements to the units, then you can then give value to the units.
Yeah.
Because if you're going to buy a property as is, then the amount of rent that you're going to get is you're going to get rent for as is. Whereas if you're going to buy a property as a 2 or 3K, you're going to get finished, a refurbished apartment rent, right?
Yep.
And the delta on the rent was huge. It was like $1,600. We overcame it. Yeah,
Damn.
three units. So I couldn't believe it. But it happened. We closed. It appraised for $723 completed.
Holy shit.
And he's only going to be into it for like $575.
That's badass.
$1.15 equity walking in the door. Booyah!
Oof.
Much better than your 5% down, sucker.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a huge piece of advice, man. About like, because a lot of people, are just very intentional of like, oh, I want this product. Like, I don't want the other ones. And it's like, well, what actually makes sense for you? What doesn't make sense for you? And yeah, that's huge.
Yeah. Well, there's so many. It's almost overwhelming, even as a loan officer. There are so many choices, right?
Yeah.
It's like going to a restaurant with 500 things on the menu. Just like cut it down. Do like 5 things really good. You don't need 500 things. Just do 5 things really good.
Yeah.
But that's what we ended up doing with that guy. But yeah, worked out well.
Absolutely, man. Hell yeah. That's awesome.
So
yeah, I like I do really like that you like fell in love with the more like rehab types of loans and stuff like that over the years, man. It's really cool stuff.
Well, so true story. It was just easier, and you get so much. So after the financial crisis, I don't know how old you were in 08, 9, and 10, but it was so
8.
bad.
My dumbass was in 3rd grade, man. Instead of buying houses,
things were so bad. But do you remember seeing all the houses boarded up, like going to like baseball or soccer, or like whatever, your parents driving you around? You see houses boarded up, or wood over
probably,
the windows,
Yeah.
And it's just like all these, and then there was this one winter where like they got into a bunch of houses got flooded, and they had water in the basement. Then there was a mold issue, right? Because the property managers weren't going back as often as they need to, and I mean, it was crazy, and it literally, because these properties were so fucked up, it was just easier. It was easier to close them as a rental because you had all this stuff wrong with it. You didn't want to fix it before closing. Just put it on paper. I'll fix all this shit after closing. Okay.
Yeah. I'll take care of it. Don't you worry. Yeah.
No, but use a home buyer. It's like, okay, you're gonna have to fix all this stuff after closing. Okay, I'll do that. Okay. And then it's not all the issues that were issues are non-issues, and everything goes away. Nobody has to hold money in escrow. Nobody has to take these repairs and that repairs and this and that and all that other happy horse shit.
Credits and all kinds of.
No. Just this is what you have to fix after closing. Will you do it? Yes. Okay. That's it. I've made more people fucking rich than you can count. Dude, if I went back 15 years and all the lists of all the people that I've done renovation loans for that have, this one bought for 100, it's worth 600 today. This one bought for 400, it's worth 700 today. This one bought for that. And like all the wealth I've created for all these people over all these years, it's in the millions.
Yeah.
It's in the millions. Even, some of the contractors that got referred to me by realtors who realtor would keep referring the same GC.
Yep.
Remember this one GC ended up doing like $10 million in work for us one year.
Holy shit.
Yes. It was huge.
Yeah.
But, that's just part of what it is. So, but yeah, as far as mortgage products, we always start off with, for first time buyers, start off with a down payment assistance. It's a real popular one. I love working with my veterans. My veterans always go 0 down. They get the best deal too. They get the lowest rate. They get no PMI. They get every lender now is waiving their fees. They're like, oh, we love our veterans. We're not going to charge them a dime. So all the lenders are waiving their fees. So we don't charge any fees for our veterans.
Nice.
Yep.
That's
And
cool.
then we got Home Ready, which is another affordable product. We got Home Possible, which is from Freddie Mac. Then we got FHA. Fannie just came out with a $5,000 down payment assistance program. I don't know if we can use that in conjunction with the other stuff. It's brand new, so I'm just going to learn. And then just all your conventional stuff, But yeah, the first-time home buyer stuff with Mass Housing, the first-time home buyer stuff with Fannie, Freddie, and FHA, VA. That's really your best bet if you're looking to do a house hack. All of it's good for 1 to 4 units too. So
yeah,
and you can use rent to qualify,
which is beautiful.
Yep.
Always.
Yep. Yep. And we look at, for your younger first-time buyers, we look at if, let's say, you get a college graduate, they graduate in this coming May, they're going to start at, I don't know, Fidelity or Raytheon in the fall, and next fall they want to buy a house. Great. Were you in school full time? Yeah. Okay. We consider that your job.
Yeah.
So just get us your transcripts, and we don't care about your grades. We just want to confirm the dates that you were in school. So get us your transcripts, and we'll confirm the dates. And as long as it says you were in school for this date to that date, and it counts, it's 2 years, you're good. You're good.
Yeah,
Because
man.
more than likely your job at Raytheon or Fidelity or whatever is going to be salary. So we don't have to go doing, average hours and all this and that. So, you're good to go as far as the younger buyers go. You just need to have a 2-year work history.
Yeah.
And whether that's school or work, you can use one or the other. It doesn't matter.
That principle in itself, man, was a huge game changer for me. Like first getting into stuff. Because I did, I was in the, I went to the tech, whatever. Like I was blue collar, like just in the trades, whatever, for years. And then I ended up taking a year off and going to Middlesex in Lowell because I was figuring out shit. Like I hated the company I was with, whatever. I'm, trying to figure my life out here. I went to Middlesex Community College for a year, and I started to kind of discover the entrepreneurship stuff, the investing stuff. Eventually it led into real estate, go down the rabbit hole, whatever. And then I ended up, leaving that and jumping back into the trade. And I was like, shit, man. I'm like, I have a bit of money saved up here, but I'm like, on paper, everybody wants that 2-year work history. I'm like, it has to be, 2 years of just work. I'm like, I went to school. Like I wasted time. Like what, I fucked up, And then I forget who it was, man. But, actually, I do remember. It was this guy that I met on Instagram. He was another investor at the time. And he's like, nah, dude. He's like, no, you're ready. Like go get pre-approved. I was like, dude, like, what the fuck are you talking about? I'm like, I don't know. And sure as shit, I did. And man, like, I didn't buy another place for another couple of years after that, with whatever. But I ended up getting pre-approved like friggin' a month after that. And I'm like, it was because of that. I'm like, I had just crossed the threshold of a year at my day job. Yeah. And the year prior was my year at Middlesex. And I'm like, guys, like, you gotta, like, hello, like, check this shit out,
Right,
and,
right.
Everybody can check this out. It's crazy. Like, it's a
Yeah.
thing that you can do.
It's real.
Yeah.
It's real. Yeah. People, so many people aren't aware of that. They're like, why do you want my transcripts? Look, I don't care about your grades.
I'm not going to judge. All right. I will judge you, but, see how it goes.
Damn, that's better than I ever did.
Yeah.
So, but yeah. So that's my story in the mortgage business, and that's what we got for products. I like it.
Yeah,
So,
I love it, man. What's kind of next? Like, you're just gonna keep cranking away, and
well, next is Brady's gonna come back, and then I'll
Yes.
have some more support, and she'll be back in about 2.5, 3 weeks.
all right.
And then good help is hard to find, especially in this business. And I've had, I had that company with my ex-wife. I had teams. I've had, all sorts of different structures where, I've been a manager, like an ops manager actually, and I've been a team lead and kind of not a broker owner, but kind of a broker owner. I just want to keep it simple. I want to keep it down to me.
Yeah.
I don't want to worry about anybody else's bullshit.
Yep.
I just want to keep it down to me. I'm difficult enough. No, because and it's not that I don't want to grow. I totally want to grow. And look, if the
Yeah.
business, if I'm getting enough referrals that it warrants another Brady, or it warrants, I think that's the only thing I would do. I would hire more assistants, and I would not hire a junior. It would take a lot for me to hire another junior loan officer.
Yeah.
I don't know that I have the patience today that I did when I did it before. And it takes. You gotta know math. You just have to know math, and you gotta be able to do it quick in your head, like on the spot. And a lot of people just aren't good at math these days.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's what's next for me. Whatever growth will only be internally with the ops team. We're not going to be adding people. At least I don't see it now. That's not totally writing it off, but it would take a lot for me to want to do that.
Yeah.
Been there, done that.
Yep. I admire it, man. Keep it simple, keep crushing, keep doing your thing and rip it up.
Yeah, that's it. That's the plan, man.
Hell yeah. Absolutely, man.
Cool.
So where on social media and stuff can you be found, man? I'll put everything you want down below.
Oh God. I'm everywhere. I'm on Facebook.
Yeah.
I'm on Instagram. I'm on Twitter. I don't even know my handles anymore. I think my handle
I'll throw
for
them in.
Facebook is let me see, what is it? Boston's Reno Guy. Is that what it is for my work one?
Hold
on.
That's a good question.
Hold on.
I should know off the top of my head for the amount of how often we go back and forth on there, man.
Right. So
yeah, I'll throw whatever you want down below. I'll look everything.
All right.
Up.
Yeah. You can do that. Yeah, it is. So that's actually my old URL. So, and people were so pissed about it when I was at Wells, because I was writing the most rental loans every month. I was doing like 11 rental loans a month.
Damn.
Yeah, it was a lot. It was great. But my Facebook is facebook.com/Boston's Reno Guy. The Boston plural with an S, Boston's Reno Guy.
Hey.
And then my Instagram is probably Joe Galvin 44. My Twitter is, actually, don't go to Twitter.
Stay off of Twitter, guys.
Stay off of Twitter.
You didn't see nothing.
We'll just do Facebook and Instagram. There you go.
Cool, man. Thank you so much for coming on here, Joe. This was freaking awesome, man.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me.
Super excited to have you. Absolutely.
I appreciate it. Yeah.
That's a wrap for today's episode. We want to thank you for being a valued listener of the Creating Wealth Podcast. Make sure to visit www.creatingwealth.com to connect with us. Dive into our ever-expanding library of informative blogs and explore a wide range of additional valuable resources. Stay tuned for our next episode as we continue to create wealth together.